War is usually decided by numbers. More men, more guns, more tanks. But sometimes history bends in ways that make no sense at all. Imagine this: one soldier, one bazooka, and three of the deadliest tanks ever built. German Tiger tanks, moving straight toward him. No backup, no air support, no escape. What happened next was so unbelievable that many refused to believe it when the war ended. Yet it was real. It was documented. And it became one of the most insane moments of World War II. This is not a movie scene. This is not propaganda. This is the story of one bazooka versus three Tiger tanks, and the moment a single man stood against steel monsters. The year is 1944. Western Europe is burning. After the D-Day landings, Allied forces are pushing deeper into Nazi-occupied territory. Villages are reduced to rubble. Roads are littered with destroyed vehicles. Every field could be hiding death. German forces, though retreating, are still extremely dangerous. And at the center of their defensive power stands one terrifying machine. The Tiger I tank, weighing over 54 tons, armed with the deadly 88-meter gun, and protected by thick armor. The Tiger tank was a nightmare for Allied soldiers. Many infantrymen believed nothing they carried could stop it. And now three of these monsters were advancing toward a small Allied position. The Tiger tank wasn't just a weapon. It was psychological warfare on tracks. When soldiers heard its engine, fear followed. The 80mm cannon could destroy enemy tanks from distances, where return fire was useless. Front armor was so thick that most anti-tank weapons simply bounced off. Entire Allied units had been wiped out by single Tigers before. Facing three at once, that was usually a death sentence. And standing in their path was a lone infantryman with a bazooka. He wasn't a general. He wasn't famous. He wasn't supposed to become a legend. He was an ordinary Allied soldier, exhausted, dirty, and scared like everyone else. The bazooka he carried was unreliable, slow to reload and dangerously short-ranged. To destroy a Tiger tank, you had to get extremely close. Close enough to see the enemy crew through vision slits. Every step forward meant risking instant death. Yet retreat was impossible. Behind him were fellow soldiers, supply lines, and wounded men. If the Tigers broke through, everything would collapse. So he made a decision that changed history. He stayed. The ground trembled as the first Tiger rolled forward. Its turret slowly turned, scanning for targets. A single shell from that cannon could erase a man from existence. The soldier moved through ruins, staying low, heart pounding so loudly it felt like the enemy could hear it. He knew the bazooka would only work if he struck the tank from the side or rear. One shot, one chance. He waited. As the Tiger passed a destroyed building, he rose from cover, aimed carefully, and fired. The rocket slammed into the tank's side. A massive explosion followed. Smoke burst from the hull. Flames erupted. The Tiger stopped moving. Against all odds, the first Tiger was destroyed. There was no victory cheer, no relief, because two more Tiger tanks were still coming. Now alerted, they began firing wildly, blasting buildings apart, turning the battlefield into a storm of steel and fire. Dust filled the air. Debris rained down. The soldier reloaded, hands shaking, knowing the second shot had to be perfect. The second Tiger advanced more cautiously, its crew aware now that an anti-tank threat was nearby. The soldier repositioned, crawling through rubble, burning lungs, shattered nerves. Each second felt like an eternity. The Tiger's machine guns opened fire, shredding walls, ripping apart cover. Then the tank turned. Its rear armor was exposed, only for a moment. He stood up. He fired. The rocket struck the engine compartment. The explosion was violent. Fire poured out. The Tiger ground to a halt, crew scrambling, some on fire, some wounded. Two Tigers destroyed. What should have been impossible had already happened twice. But the nightmare was not over. The last Tiger stopped. Its commander now understood the danger. The tank slowly rotated its turret and searching. One shot from that 88mm gun would end everything. The soldier had only one rocket left. One mistake meant death. He moved closer than any sane man would dare. Less than 30 meters separated him from the tank. He could hear the engine. He could smell burning oil. Then the tank fired. The blast threw him to the ground. Dirt and smoke filled the air. His ears rang. His vision blurred. But the Tiger had missed. He stood up for the final time, aimed, and fired. The rocket struck the Tiger's side. A massive explosion followed. The tank stopped. Silence fell over the battlefield. 3 Tiger tanks lay destroyed. 1 soldier stood alive, against logic, against probability, against history itself. Word spread quickly through Allied lines. At first, no one believed it. 3 Tigers destroyed by 1 bazooka? Impossible. But the wrecks were there, burned, broken, silent. The soldier was awarded for his bravery, but like many wartime heroes, he returned to anonymity after the war. No movie deals, no fame, just memories no one else could fully understand. Yet his actions saved countless lives and stopped a breakthrough that could have changed the battle. World War II was filled with massive armies, powerful machines, and grand strategies. But moments like this remind us of something more important. Wars are not won only by machines. They are won by courage, by decisions made in seconds, by individuals who refuse to surrender. 1 man, 1 weapon. Against impossible odds, the battlefield was silent, but the war was not over. Smoke still rose from the destroyed Tiger tanks. Flames flickered inside twisted steel hulls. That just minutes ago were considered unstoppable. Allied soldiers slowly emerged from cover, staring in disbelief. 3 Tiger tanks, gone. But what most don't realize is that this moment almost never made it into official history, and what followed was just as dangerous as the battle itself. The destruction of 3 Tiger tanks sent shockwaves through German command. Tiger units were elite. Losing even 1 was serious. Losing 3 to infantry weapons was unacceptable. German officers immediately assumed a hidden anti-tank unit or Allied ambush was responsible. They were wrong. Within hours, German artillery began targeting the area. Shells rained down on the village, leveling what little cover remained. The Germans wanted revenge, wanted answers. The lone soldier who had destroyed the Tigers now became a target. Winning the fight was only half the battle. The soldier had to survive the aftermath. He was exhausted, shaken, and partially deaf from explosions. His hands were burned from the bazooka's backblast. His uniform was torn, covered in dust and oil, and yet he stayed at his post. Because in war, heroism doesn't end when the shooting stops. To understand how insane this moment truly was, you need to understand one thing clearly. Tiger tanks were not meant to be destroyed by infantry. Most bazooka rockets struggled to penetrate their armor. Soldiers were trained to disable tracks, not destroy the tank itself. Even Allied tank crews feared engaging Tigers head-on. German tank aces often claimed kills from over 2 kilometers away. And yet, terrain, timing, and human courage changed everything. Urban ruins, narrow streets, and limited visibility turned the Tiger's strength into weakness. The soldier didn't defeat technology. He defeated overconfidence. After this incident, Allied morale skyrocketed. Soldiers who once froze at the sound of Tiger engines now believed something revolutionary. Tigers could be killed. Training manuals began emphasizing close-quarters anti-tank tactics. Infantry units gained confidence. Fear began to shift sides. For German tank crews, the opposite happened. Tiger commanders became cautious, slower, more defensive. And in war, hesitation is deadly. But bravery always has a price. The soldier did not walk away untouched. Like many WWII veterans, he carried invisible wounds, nightmares, guilt, the memory of fire, screams, and destruction. He never celebrated what he did. Because true soldiers don't count victories, they count survivors. After the war, attention moved on. Nuclear bombs, the Cold War, new conflicts. Stories like this didn't fit neat narratives. No dramatic footage. No famous name. Just eyewitness accounts and battlefield reports. But among veterans, the story lived on. A reminder that sometimes one man can change the outcome of a battle. This moment wasn't about weapons. It wasn't about tanks. It was about decision. In the most terrifying moment imaginable, one soldier chose action over fear. And that choice echoed louder than any cannon. The smoke cleared, the Tigers were gone, and the battlefield had returned to an eerie silence. Victory in war is never simple. The soldier who destroyed 3 Tiger tanks had made history, but the story didn't end there. Every action on the battlefield has consequences, and sometimes surviving the fight is harder than winning it. German forces were relentless. Reports of destroyed Tiger tanks spread quickly through their chain of command. They assumed sabotage, minefields, or an ambush, but they also assumed the worst, and that Allied forces were more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Counterattacks came within hours. Artillery shells rained down on nearby positions. Infantry units, tanks, and mortars advanced from multiple directions. The soldier who had stood alone now became part of a larger trap. Surrounded by smoke, fire, and chaos, he had to survive again, this time against overwhelming numbers. Victory came at a price. Allied soldiers were injured. Many civilians fled villages destroyed in the crossfire. The soldier himself was battered, barely able to move. Yet he pushed on because retreat meant annihilation. Stories like this remind us that bravery in war is always paired with sacrifice. Heroism isn't clean or glorious and is brutal, exhausting, and sometimes unseen. Yet despite the danger, the soldier's actions saved lives. Entire units avoided destruction because he stopped the tigers in their tracks. History often remembers generals, but sometimes it's the quiet acts of courage that change everything. The Tiger tank for many soldiers became a symbol of invincibility. Destroying even one required skill, luck, and timing. Destroying 3 in a single engagement was considered impossible until it happened. Stories of the incident spread among Allied troops. Rumors turned into legends. Veterans who witnessed it would describe the moment with awe, disbelief, and respect. For the Germans, it was a nightmare, a terrifying reminder that their most advanced machines were not unbeatable, and that psychological edge shifted the way battles were fought from that day forward. The power of one soldier standing against impossible odds cannot be overstated. History shows that wars are not only fought with weapons, but with willpower. Every soldier who saw the Tigers fall gained confidence. Every German tank crew faced a new fear. And every general learned a lesson about unpredictability in war. In moments like this, courage becomes contagious. One act inspires dozens more. And the battlefield, no matter how deadly, becomes a place where ordinary men can perform extraordinary feats. The incredible story of one bazooka versus 3 Tiger tanks reminds us that history is not just the story of armies, maps, and leaders. It's also about ordinary people who do the impossible. After the war, this soldier returned home quietly, blending into civilian life. There were no parades, no movies, no medals that captured the full weight of what he had done. Yet his actions shaped the course of a battle, saved lives, and inspired countless soldiers in the field. This is the part of history that rarely makes headlines. The human story behind the machines, the numbers and the strategies. Every modern soldier, strategist, and historian can learn from this incident. Courage can outweigh firepower. Timing and positioning can defeat seemingly invincible machines. Individual decisions can ripple across entire battles. Most importantly, it shows that war is unpredictable. Even the most disciplined armies can be undone by determination, ingenuity, and the will to survive. The battlefield had gone quiet, but the echoes of that insane encounter were far from over. 3 Tiger tanks destroyed, one soldier standing against impossible odds. But war is never satisfied with a single moment of heroism. Across Europe, commanders on both sides were recalculating strategies. For the Allies, the destruction of the Tigers wasn't just a tactical victory, and it was a psychological blow to the enemy. For the Germans, it was a terrifying sign that even their most advanced machines were vulnerable, and that fear could now be wielded against them. The loss of 3 Tiger tanks in one engagement sent shockwaves through the German command structure. Tanks were precious, elite, and not easily replaced. Entire operations were delayed as commanders reassessed the threat of infantry-armed anti-tank weapons. On the Allied side, morale skyrocketed. Soldiers who had been paralyzed at the thought of facing a Tiger tank suddenly realized that tactics, courage, and even luck could level the playing field. One man's bravery had shifted the dynamic of the battlefield. It was proof that war is not only about numbers or firepower, but about action under pressure. After the battle, the soldier became a living legend among his peers, though he himself remained quiet about what had happened. For him there was no glory and only survival, duty, and the haunting memory of what he had witnessed. His story traveled through whispered accounts, letters home, and the memories of veterans. They remembered him not just as a soldier, but as a symbol. One man can change the course of events even against impossible odds. While he faced 3 Tigers alone, history is full of unsung heroes performing equally astonishing acts. Medics, engineers, radio operators, and ordinary infantry often shaped the battlefield without recognition. The lesson is clear. In war, courage doesn't always come with a medal. It comes from stepping forward when everything screams to stay back. It comes from action in the face of fear. and the willingness to risk everything to protect others. Even after surviving, the soldier carried the weight of that day. The images of burning tigers, exploding shells, and injured comrades were etched into his memory. He had faced death head-on and lived, but the emotional scars were deep. The story of the Bazooka soldier is far from over. Across the battlefields of Europe, there were countless moments where the eye